I bought not one, not two, not three, but 4 router insert plates. All different, of course. These ones that screw into the base of palm routers. And they are used to make a small router table. In this video, we will look in detail at the 3 small ones. And we will see this large one in the next video. Although we will also see a couple of details about it in this video. The small models are simpler. The 4 models have holes for 2 sizes of routers. Or are the outer holes for a lifting system, as we will see later, and holes to attach the plate to a board with screws. This plate has a hole for a starter pin, and it has this hole for the fence. These are for screwing on reducing rings. It is curious that they come with holes for 4 screws, but only 2 can be screwed into the plate. The bad thing is that one of the plate's holes is not well aligned, and I have to tilt the screw a bit and apply force, trying to straighten it, so it goes into place and fits correctly. Here, I have the starter pin. The first time I tried to insert it, it didn't want to go in. But with the pliers, I managed to get it in. And now it goes in and out easily, without needing to use pliers. If I have a bearing bit here, I rest the wood against the pin and move it towards the bit. The starter pin is supposed to be for safer operation. I have never used it, so I will have to see how it is used. All right, I unscrew the plastic base of the palm router. And the insert plate comes with these screws. They will fit without a problem here because they stick out from the bottom. But here the holes are blind, and the screw does not go in easily. This hole goes towards this knob, and we will see that it cannot be placed in another position. Here we see how these screws on this side are too long, and the first time I had to force them in. And now they go in without a problem. It's as if they had to extend the thread of the hole. This plate comes with these screws. 4 to screw it to the palm router. 4 to screw on the reducing rings. And these or these, depending on our preference, to screw the plate to the board. Here I have the narrowest reducing ring, with a very thin straight bit. It is not perfectly centered. So let's turn on the router. All right, it barely touches, but it just grazed the reducing ring. It may be that when working with wood, such a thin bit flexes a bit and touches a bit more. I don't know. But in general, the reducing rings will be a bit large for the bits we use. These are the 4 reducing rings it comes with to use with different bit diameters. This knob is for attaching the fence that comes with the palm router. Despite there being a recess in the insert plate, the fence plate does not lie flat with the insert plate. The problem with not being able to put the other 2 of these screws is that the reducing ring can lift when the screws are pressed. But it doesn't seem to be an obstacle for passing the wood over it. And it would be better to have slightly shorter screws for the back of the plate. No, the palm router's own screws do not fit. They are too short. The plate is not completely solid, but it has these reinforcing ribs. And it is quite flat. At first glance, I really like this other one. It is also quite flat. The first thing that stands out is that it has a fixed hole in which we cannot put reducing rings. Well, this way, we don't have the problem of the bit touching the edges of the ring. But what I do miss is that it doesn't have a hole for the starter pin. It does have the hole with the recess for the fence. The holes to screw the plate to the router are flat-based. And let's notice that we have holes to screw the plate to the board. And next to each one, there is a small Allen screw. These are leveling screws for the plate. Here, I have all the screws it comes with. These, with their key, for the flat-based holes we saw earlier. And it comes with another Allen key for the leveling screws. When we route the box for the plate, the screws will help us level it. It is a very cool plate, completely solid, and these screws are a very interesting detail. What I think it didn't come with are screws to attach the four corners to the board. These screws are perfect for attaching the plate to the palm router base. They are not too long, like in the case of the red plate. The fence also does not lie flat with the plate. Some people use the plate to have more support surface when routing by hand with the fence. But since it doesn't lie flat, if we want to route a groove very deep into the board, then the base wobbles on top of the fence plate. However, without the plate, this doesn't happen, as we can align the fence plate well with the router base. I was thinking that maybe I can make a hole for the starter pin. I think I have some tap drills somewhere. These two are almost the same thickness, although really the red one is a bit thicker. The size is, I would say, the same, and only the curvature at the corners changes a bit. This longer plate also comes with 4 reducing rings, and this one does have 4 holes to screw them in. On each side, it has a scale in centimeters and inches, with 0 centered on the hole. It has 0 and 45-degree marks. And this one doesn't have the recess for the fence, only the hole. And it does come with its starter pin, which fits perfectly the first time. But I discover that it sticks out from the bottom. That's a problem. And the screws of the reducing ring also stick out. That's bad. On the red plate, they do not stick out. But the starter pin does stick out a bit. And it gets stuck here. I will have to grind it down a bit. But in this one, the problem is bigger, as the pin sticks out more. This plate is a bit thinner than the red one. And also the screws of the reducing ring get stuck. It looks great, and I like that it is longer. But it has a little problem. It reflects a lot, which is a problem when recording videos. Since it doesn't have a recess, this plate sits above the insert plate, and the fence sits quite high above the plate. The screws it comes with, the pin, and the reducing rings are exactly the same as the red one. The color of the rings is the only difference. The silver and the black ones seem to be the same thickness. and the red one is a bit thicker. Here, the thickness of this edge is a bit thinner than on the red plate. That's why here, the screws stick out from the bottom. And on this one, they do not. And on this one, we don't have that problem. Here we see how the edge of the silver one is thinner than that of the red one. And with the plate in place, the reducing ring screws do not go all the way in, and the reducing ring is not well tightened and can be a bit raised. So I should cut them or find shorter ones. And these, I already forced in. The reducing rings also won't be perfectly centered. Better not try to put a reducing ring that is very, very tight. I might enlarge this one a bit. And now, pay attention. A curiosity I discovered when I was looking at how the large plate is. It can't be true. The holes don't align well. Let me turn it to see, and this way they do align. But what is this? I thought the plate wouldn't fit. Let's see with this one. Well, this way it doesn't. And this way it does. The spacing of the holes at the front is not the same as at the back. How curious. I didn't expect this. I leave you the link to the article on my website with all the measurements. Later I realized that if the plate is not in the correct position, the router does not line up with the hole. This plate can be used with a lifting system that is purchased separately. It has this hole to insert the rod that operates the lifting system. And it screws directly under the insert plate. And if we want to use the lifting system with the small plates, then let's keep in mind that with the lifting system, this piece is not used. The lifting system itself grips the router, and the rod to operate the router lift would come through here. The plate would go like this, and this hole aligns perfectly with the one needed for the rod, but it is very narrow. Oh, I turn it and insert the rod here. Would that be possible? I'm not sure. It seems that the lifting system is screwed into the outer holes of the plate. These three plates have the same hole measurements. In all three, this measurement is equal to this one. But, as we saw, this one is not equal to this one. And this measurement is equal to this one. And this one is equal to this one. So, in principle, we could turn it, right? Anyway, until I buy one of those lifting systems, I won't be sure. I suppose that with that lifting system, the screws that stick out from the bottom on some insert plates would no longer be a problem. Another thing I forgot. On the black plates, the wood slides well. But on the red one, it slides better. And on the silver one, which has grooves all over the surface, it doesn't slide as well. Well, each insert plate has its advantages and disadvantages, and we still have to see the other router mount, which is larger and more complete. So I will think about which plate to use, as I haven't decided yet. And of course, I will soon make a small router table.